Well, today let's talk about something that really can take a damper on things in this fandom. And in particular, one of the things is how sometimes drama bubbles up. Sometimes there's a clique, sometimes there are just groups that don't know what they're doing with each other. And when these things happen, they tend to bring along a bit of a negative light. Now, certain things out there in the internet, you have what's called like the game of telephone. If you've ever played telephone when you were a kid, it's this game you play in like kindergarten, grade 1. The one student says banana, and by the end of it you have a trash can full of trash pandas eating bananas under a waterfall, and they've gone to the dump. These are things that are going on, and unfortunately the miscommunication of certain things in the fandom space tends to grow very rapidly because it's online. Now, what do you do to solve these things? Well, in a lot of ways, if you hear rumors, if you hear drama, if you hear some things, you can do a few things. One, maybe you step away from it. Maybe you just say, hey, listen, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want this. You know what? Go do your thing. I'm still your friend. Reach out, vent, say things, and that's sometimes what you gotta do. You still want to be there as friends. And another thing you gotta remember in these things, when you're moving around with some of these groups, you make a lot of friends. And those friends, they're friends for a reason. And I gotta say one thing, and it's that friends will generally forgive each other. If you don't see that sort of connection, those are sometimes something that there's something maybe have gone wrong. Is it maybe a situation that things are just not on the level, where someone's trying to do something that just doesn't seem the right way to do things? Sometimes you're trying to speak up and you're trying to say things to your friend and say, hey, listen, something that you've done kind of bugs me, but I'm still your friend, and I'm still going to tell you you've done something that maybe we can resolve these things. And that's the other thing that a lot of people forget, is we're all adults. A lot of us are adults online. And it's the adults in the room that can sit there and really know who to speak to and how to speak and experience. And that's one thing that I've learned in a very, very short amount of time. Well, I've been online for a long time. I've done a lot of online videos. But it is one thing that I've learned, is that the adults in the room maybe have a go at it. Sometimes our emotions get the best of us. Sometimes things just go the wrong way or said the wrong way. Sometimes it's a rumor that people hear, and they want to continue and propagate and move that rumor and do things with it. And then it becomes a little bit more beyond a resolution at that point. When things go the wrong way, then what do you do? Well, I know a lot of people out there will just simply block and move on. I've blocked a few people in my lifetime, but I generally don't. I try to either just let it go, know that they were having a bad day. God, I remember the days at the hospital. I came out of the hospital to my vehicle, and there was a guy that was driving up the wrong way up the ramp into the parking lot, and this was in a parkade. And I sat there in the vehicle, and I was in the middle of backing up, and he came up right behind me, right up the wrong way of the ramp. You do the thing like you're like, honk, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. Wow, boy, I think they were having a very bad day that day, because without hesitation, they get out of their vehicle on a ramp. What they didn't do was put it in park. Sometimes people are having a bad day. Sometimes people just need someone to lean on. And thankfully, they were able to stop their vehicle very, very quickly, even though it was on a ramp. because his girlfriend or his wife was in the passenger seat that started screaming at him as the vehicle started to slowly move backwards. Nothing came of that. I sat in my vehicle after that one, and I sat there and I was like, that's a very scary situation, and I'm sure because I was leaving a hospital, he is having a bad day. They were having a bad day that day, and I just kind of left it at that. Did I go to the police? Did I do anything? No, it wasn't one of those situations where I was like, I'm going to go to the police and report something like this. It was, I am pretty sure they were having a hell of a bad day. And sometimes that's all it takes, is to sit there and just be like, okay, let's let that go, let it go, and let it be. Yeah, the guy got out and he started screaming at me and was ready to throw down. But my response to him of, what are you doing? Kind of clued that into his head, and I think he realized he was not himself that day. Sometimes you just got to eat a Snickers bar, right? Now, when it comes to this fandom, yeah, I've seen it. In the short little bit, I see the groups, I see the cliques, I see one to another, and then I hear things here and there, and I sit there and I just go, why is it this way? Someone has one thing wrong, and then another person finds that they have that wrong, and they just don't like it, and then they sit there and they go, well, it's time for us to move on. It's time for you to leave, and that's the way things are. I've had it happen. I've had it happen plenty of times. Throughout my history of being online, I've had a lot of people sit there and tell me otherwise. Tell me that I shouldn't be here, that I shouldn't do the things I do, that I shouldn't report on things that are worthy of reporting on. Of course, that's in the past. Now I'd rather sit there and talk about more motivational things and just have fun and just enjoy life. Those are the things I don't want to report on. There's stuff, you know, we did the one panel over there on Twitch talking about Nintendo. Those are things that I've talked about in the past, and it was fun to do it as a panel. But to make it a focus of a video, I just would rather talk here and say, these are my life experiences. And yeah, things do go wrong at times. But when they do, you know you can pick yourself up. You can move on and carry on and just keep on trucking, because that's all you got some days. You unfortunately can't change the minds of others, but you can sit there and still stand on your own 2 feet and just say, I'm here if you want to ever talk. Reach out to your friends. Reach out and just let them know that they matter. And that no matter what happens, friends, they forgive each other. I'm not here to ask for anything. I'm not here as that type of video or anything like that. I'm just honestly here to say these are things that I've learned. And I'm forever thankful for the friends I do have, because they do a hell of a great deal. So, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Have yourselves a great day. I am your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow. I'm signing off here. And I will see you again very soon. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe.